Nazareth was a small village in southern Galilee, in a secluded area of the land that had been Zebulun. It had only been around for perhaps 1 or 2 centuries before Jesus' time and was of minor importance. It could never grow very large, as it had only one small water source and wasn't near any major roads. Nazareth's size and isolation contributed to a bad reputation in terms of its morals and religion. Non-residents thought its inhabitants spoke a crude dialect. This poor impression was reflected in Nathanael's comment when told by Philip where Jesus had lived, "Can anything good come from Nazareth?" Yet Nazareth was where Mary and Joseph called home. It was where Jesus was raised and where he probably learned his trade as a carpenter. According to Luke, it was in Nazareth's synagogue that Jesus read from Isaiah, owning his mission to bring good news to the afflicted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, to give sight to the blind. A sermon that ended up with the townspeople wanting to throw him off a cliff. According to Matthew, he returned occasionally and taught in such a way that the townspeople were astonished at his wisdom and miraculous powers. No mention in Matthew about throwing him off the cliff. In short, while we know that Jesus visited other places, such as Jerusalem and Cana, it was in Nazareth that he was led, at the very least, to be curious about his life's work. Capernaum, on the other hand, while also of late origin, was fairly significant. About 23 miles to the northeast of Nazareth, it was the most important city on the northern shore of the Sea of Galilee. Unlike Nazareth, it was deemed a city, probably with a population of some 10,000. It was prosperous, promoted by its proximity to a major trade route, the road to the sea mentioned in Isaiah. Probably because of being on the trade route, it had a Roman taxation center and boasted a military garrison headed by a centurion whose servant Jesus healed. Those Romans built its substantial synagogue, a place where, according to Mark and John, Jesus taught. And it was to Capernaum that Jesus relocated after his temptations in the wilderness and learning of John the Baptist's death. What we heard this morning were his first actions there, the calling of Andrew and Peter, James, and John. But Jesus was continually active in Capernaum throughout his ministry. It was in Capernaum that Jesus healed the paralytic who was lowered from the roof. According to Luke, after Jesus escaped his enraged hometown folk, he went to Capernaum and taught in the synagogue with authority and exorcised an unclean spirit. John reports that it was in Capernaum that Jesus gave his famous discourse about being the bread of life, which, like his claim to mission sermon in Nazareth, upset his audience. And just before his final journey to Jerusalem, it was in Capernaum that Jesus and his disciples were challenged about paying the temple tax. He does, you remember, do that with the help of a fish. So it would seem that Capernaum provided both a testing ground as well as a launch pad for his ministry. He learned what he could do and teach, but he also learned that there were limits to what he might accomplish. And so, leaving Capernaum, he went further afield throughout Galilee, and then Samaria and Judea, living out that Isaianic mission of bringing good news to the afflicted, proclaiming liberty to the captives, giving sight to the blind. We at Good Shepherd are, in some ways, both Nazareth and Capernaum. As Nazareth, we have been a hometown for any number of folks. The fact that some of the founding townspeople are still here testifies to that. But even more so are the second, and in some cases, third generations of family that call Good Shepherd home. For them and for others who found this village, since then it has provided a great place to bring up children. We have a well-staffed nursery with the Litleys cared for by Liv Hornsby and Mia Zuger. Our fabulous children's ministry cadre, more than ably led by Sue LaFont, with the help of a team of volunteers, welcomes and incorporate children of many ages and abilities. The Godly Play curriculum for our youngest and the more lectionary-based classes for older kids provides for them, like Jesus' upbringing in Nazareth, a grounding in the stories of our faith and tradition. We are actively working to make sure that the faith journey to adulthood is seamless. This village raises up its young people. But it's not only in the classroom that we raise up our youth. Thanks to Susie Smith's efforts, we have a growing core of youth acolytes, joining some more seasoned members who assist at the 10:30 service. They are learning what corporate worship is all about. The quarterly family Sundays provide our young people with the opportunity to see in church their own expressions of faith as lectors, greeters, and givers. And we're learning that the older members of the congregation are astonished by our young people and love these services and are blessed mightily. Like any small town, such as Nazareth, Good Shepherd is a place where people are known to each other. Newcomers are made to feel welcome from the time they step onto the front porch. Our welcome team, greeters and ushers, coordinated by Chuck and Sue Kelly, make sure they know where to go, how to follow the service, and how to sign up for more information. Folks often are hungry for knowledge about faith in general, as well as the Episcopal Church, and so newcomers and some long-timers benefit from classes such as Episcopal 101, as well as the various offerings out of our Faith Forum series. Other educational opportunities are offered by the Congregational Care Team, examples being how to avoid fraud or fall detection devices, and by the Faith in Action Team, movie nights related to Black History Month, women's ordination, immigration, and more. Newcomers and longtimers alike love meeting in less formal ways. Our Hungry Flock dinners, senior singles, Bible study, book groups, and men's group provide opportunities for that kind of fellowship. And we're always on the lookout for more ways to help folks connect. We too are committed to caring for those within our community. Our prayer ministries keep us linked one to another. Thanks to Tricia Hartman, Elaine Oxenberry, and Jim Wolf for maintaining lists. And we're happy we've been able to reincorporate prayer concerns in our Sunday worship. Our vital congregational care team and lay Eucharistic visitors ensure that those who can't make it to our services will feed them, literally, spiritually, and metaphorically. Thank you, Karen Elson, Duane Namaxi, Nan Berenger, and Jim Wolf. The Mighty Marthas, led by Jennifer Spar, keep our gatherings, especially in times of community need, grace-filled. Yet, as we all know, while villages may be wonderful in many ways, there are resources that only larger towns offer. And in this way, Good Shepherd is also like Capernaum. The commitment to community care and service that is apparent in the village is able to be translated into a larger arena. Our outreach ministries with St. Clair's, St. Francis Center, Covenant Cupboard, Giving Heart, Walnut Hills Elementary School, and We Cycle put our faith into action. Our in-gatherings, whether for some of those centers or others, show our commitment to helping. In addition, our building itself is a place of mission, showing foreigners what we provide with hundreds of people coming through these doors every week, including 12-step groups, the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Columbine Genealogical Society, the South Suburban Music Teachers, Dementia Support Group, Boy Scout Troop, as well as several music teachers and their students. Additionally, we have two other worshiping communities that make use of our space: Beloved Community Mennonite Church and the South Denver Islamic Center. As a preview of coming attractions, the pastor of Beloved Community will be our preacher on Maundy Thursday, and we will have a joint program on food, faith, and fasting with our Muslim friends as Lent and Ramadan coincide this year. Speaking of the building on the other side of the ledger, our congregational resources are such that when disasters strike or opportunities arise, we have capable folks to lead the efforts to address those. Thank you, David McClary and the members of the Buildings and Grounds Committee. Additionally, Capernaum, a larger town, means greater worship opportunities. We are blessed with assisting clergy who love this community and share their gifts with us. Thank you, Bishops Chris Epting and Cal Schofield, and the Reverends Mary Need, Sandy Boyd, Harold Warren, and Jim Miner. And thank you to our wonderful altar guild, led by Nan Berenger, that makes the work of worship leaders so much easier. More worship implies more music. Goodness gracious. There's a lot of music in this town. I already mentioned the numerous music teachers and students that are here midweek, but the most apparent and inspiring music is what we hear on Sundays. The choir, Black Sheep, Bell Choir, Uplifted, and Emerging Youth Choir, and all of the guest musicians and soloists. Wow, thank you to Connie and Marge and Tricia for all you bring to this ministry. And with Sue Lavoie's help, we have numerous lectors and Eucharistic ministers that round out our worship. And now we have a seasoned and capable AV team who are ensuring that our main worship services and occasionally funerals are made available via live stream to folks all over the country and world. Thank you, Kolya, Simon, Elaine, Rod, and Darcel. As much as we are both Nazareth and Capernaum, however, we too are Jesus, nurtured, cared for, fed, taught, and inspired. We know we must venture forth. We are near various roads to the sea, whether those be I-25 or just Yosemite and Dry Creek. Roads we can travel to spread the good news of Jesus Christ, and on which travelers easily can make their way to us. As with Jesus, what we've experienced in the past and what we see now will translate into a new articulation of our mission. That is our task, looking back at our 50 years of ministry and ahead to the next seasons of our work together. Discerning and articulating that vision will be the work, with the congregation's help and input certainly, of our fabulous Warrens, Andy and Kurt, the continuing and new vestry members and others. Your prayers and engagement will guide and uphold them in that mission. We do, of course, need resources for mission, and we're grateful for the work of the vestry and others to ensure that we have the necessary funds. We're fortunate to have our budget administered by a faith-filled and wise finance committee led by outgoing treasurer Mike Garrett and financial administrator Amy McClary. And all of these herds of cats, that is an active parish, are capably kept from stepping on each other's toes too much by parish administrator Kathy Hunter. Our physical and financial resources, well managed, along with prayer, conversation, and hard work, are the materials we have at hand together to craft a future that will captivate us and others. In my role as your rector, I've preached and celebrated at about 100 services this year, and what a gift it is to be able to serve along Deacon Nadine Pope. I counsel, I teach, I serve on committees. Beyond these walls, I continue in my role as chair of the Diocesan Board of Examining Chaplains. I am the Diocesan Ecumenical and Interreligious Officer and co-chair of the Centennial Faith Council. I'm a member of the Diocesan Disciplinary Board, a job you do not want. Right, Larry? And the Creation Care Task Force. I'm rarely bored. Our gospel reading ends today with Jesus setting out into Galilee, recognizing that it was his time to claim his mission to proclaim the good news of the kingdom and cure every disease and every sickness among the people. As Jesus called Simon, Andrew, James, and John, and later 8 others to join him in this work, so Jesus summons us to join him in mission. That is our call. That is our commitment. But Jesus also returned to both Nazareth and Capernaum. We know we, too, are sent out from here, but we also know that we'll be welcomed back and fed.